You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Welcome to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with your host, Rosalind Sedaka. Join Rosalind each week on a journey toward overcoming life's many challenges to achieve peace, empowerment, and positive transformation. It's time to relax, unwind, and transform your life with Rosalind Sedaka.
Hello, everyone. This is Rosalind Sedaka with the Going Solo Network, WGSN-DB, and you're listening to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with Rosalind Sedaka. As you know, I'm founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, and we provide advice, resources, programs, and support for families before, during, and long after divorce. And we invite different guests to share their wisdom with us every week. And today I'm very honored to have a wonderful guest. Her name is Jennifer Warren Medwin, and she is a certified divorce coach, a Supreme Court of Florida family mediator, and a certified marital mediator trained in the collaborative process. Her private practice is in the Miami area, and it's called Seeking Empowerment Clarity Through Partnership. Jennifer specializes in working alongside individuals and couples who are contemplating divorce and are fearful of high conflict, and those who want and hope to save their marriages. Additionally, Jennifer is a member of the National Association of Divorce Professionals and a contributing writer to your Tango, Thrive Global, and other valuable online resources. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
It's my pleasure, and I am so delighted that I'm talking to someone who understands divorce from the side of being a mediator as well as a coach, and someone who also thrives in her practice to help marriages stay together and provide support to help people if they're dealing with a high-conflict divorce, because that, as we all know, is the most traumatic and dramatic of all situations. It's good to know that there's someone like you doing your thing out there. So you are a certified divorce coach, and that's something I am as well, and it's very important that people are working with certified divorce coaches to get the expertise they need. Can you tell us a little bit about the value of working with a certified divorce coach as part of a professional team?
Sure. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that in 2013, the American Bar Association added divorce coaching to a list of alternative dispute resolutions and described the profession as the fourth element of the divorce process. That means that along with an attorney, an accountant, possibly a therapist, the divorce coach works alongside with the client to help them on this emotional roller coaster and to make the best possible decisions while taking the high road. You know, divorce is very complicated. There are a lot of tentacles to it. And when one becomes extremely emotional, their logic and problem-solving skills are not as strong as they are when they are more calm and thinking more rationally.
That's for sure.
Yeah, divorce coaches, this is a relatively new profession in that it's been around, according to the American Bar Association, for about 7 years. What I do as a certified divorce coach, people come to me in different stages. They either are in the should I, shouldn't I stage of staying married or getting divorced. They are in the process of getting divorced, or they are post-divorce, meaning their divorce has been finalized and they're trying to figure out what the next chapter is going to be for them. As a divorce coach, I don't advocate for divorce at all. I work with my clients, helping them discover what their truths are. And oftentimes I have clients who want to work on their marriage, and they go back, and it's a matter of really, most of the time it comes down to understanding their communication skills, how they portray themselves in a conversation, meaning what is their body language? Is there eye contact? What is the words that they're using? What about their tone of voice? People don't necessarily think about that because they get into a pattern of the way they have always communicated. And the other very important skill that we work on in the should I, shouldn't I stage is conflict resolution. How do you go about handling conflict and resolving it? And, there are many different skills and tools that clients can use not only with their relationship, but also with their friendships and other members of the family as well.
Yeah, so many other people are involved and very often providing their own insight and advice, which isn't always in the best interest of your client, is it?
You make a very good point, and thank you for bringing that up. Family is so important, and oftentimes in situations such as divorce, we really rely on our siblings or our parents, and while they mean well, and they try as best as they can to be objective instead of subjective, it's very challenging for them too. And so having a divorce coach on your side and partnering with you helps you brainstorm ideas and really think through the decisions you're going to make.
I agree. And I'm so glad that you're talking about what is really involved. There's a whole realm of emotional, psychological, spiritual, and self-care arenas that all are helped through the divorce coaching practice. Isn't that right?
Yes. We help create a non-judgmental partnership with our clients. We help them manage the divorce process. We are experts in the process of divorce, meaning we help them, depending on which stage they come in. If they were to come in to us in the should I, shouldn't I stage, and they decide to move forward with divorce, we help them put together their professional team, as well as help them understand the different routes that they could go, meaning it's not extremely high conflict. They may want to consider collaborative law or mediation instead of just going, straight to litigation, which people often think is the first step when they decide to get a divorce. One of my goals is to educate people that there are other options other than going straight to litigation. In the beginning, primarily, my job is to educate them, to help them create this strong team, and to remind them, and this is what is really important, and I find that a lot of my clients lose sight of this. They are the boss of this process. Mm-hmm. Not the attorneys, not me as the divorce coach, not their therapist, and not their accountant. They are the boss. When the divorce is over, most of these professionals will not be in their day-to-day life. Sometimes a therapist stays on, sometimes a divorce coach stays on, but the decisions they make have to be their own decision.
Well, that's a wonderful place for us to take a quick break. We've been talking to Jennifer Warren Medwin, who is a certified divorce coach, and this is Rosalind Sadaka with Going Solo Network, WGSN-DB, and you're listening to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Cece Schatz, and I want to welcome you to Going Solo Next Step. We are an innovative, transformational site with a personal touch, as we are an online, interactive, social website connecting other like-minded individuals who are adjusting to their new life of being single. Going Solo Next Step will connect and help you deal with issues such as relationship loss, divorce recovery, relationship building, transition into dating, single parenting, spiritual connection, inspirational plus personal growth, sparking your career and understanding your life path, wants, and goals. As you begin relationship building, you will enjoy Going Solo Next Step social activities and forums designed to connect you and other like-minded individuals to make great, everlasting friends. Together, we will all have fun in growing number of social groups and gatherings, both in your location and online. This and so much more is in store for you. You can join me on www.goingsolonextstep.com. I'm looking forward to being with you right there on Going Solo Next Step. See you there.
This is Rosalind Sadaka. You're listening to WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. The show is Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. And today we're talking to Jennifer Warren Medwin, who is a certified divorce coach. And she's been sharing a lot of insight about how divorce coaching works and the value of it in your families. Jennifer, we connected because you sent me a wonderful article that you wrote called 5 B.R.A.V.E. Skills Framework. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about those 5 B.R.A.V.E. skills.
Sure, and thank you for acknowledging the importance of that framework. I wrote it for divorcing couples who, in this moment, of COVID-19 are quarantined together. However, this framework can work for everyone who's experiencing a challenge in their life. And B.R.A.V.E stands for balance, resilience, autonomy, valor, and empathy. And these create a path and more opportunity for change and healing for yourself during difficult times. Balance stems from being really mindful of creating time for things you have to do, right? Because we all have things we have to do. But also creating time for things you want to do, like practicing self-care, making sure you're nurturing yourself, focusing on a positive mindset. Making a list of things you want to accomplish or you want to do is a great way to allow yourself to feel in control of a situation. The reason I wrote about resiliency is that it's really important that we pay attention to our experiences and we listen to what our body is trying to tell us, and we remain open-minded. Studies show that when people are arguing, we are not listening to understand. We are listening to defend. And part of resiliency is allowing yourself to just step out of the box and see the humanness of somebody else, and to really try to hear what somebody else is saying, and to really focus on those things that you have control over. I teach my clients a formula that is very easy to remember. It's E plus R equals O. E stands for the event, whatever the event is in your life. The R is how you respond and react to it. And the O stands for the outcome. So how you respond or react to whatever event is taking place has a direct impact on the outcome. It's so imperative to be mindful of your mindset. The A stands for autonomy, and autonomy is living your truth, acting on your own values and interests, to think about what really matters to you. I often say you have two choices in life. You can either be a victim or you can be a creator. And in every decision, you always have a choice. So it's important to be self-aware, self-reflective, and to self-manage yourself. V is valor. Life is complicated. We all need courage in various times of our lives. And if you allow yourself to stay stuck in your misery or anxiety, you can't grow. And the situation has no opportunity to be different. So when I talk about courage, what I'm saying is learn to say no. No is a complete sentence. Ask for what you want. Let go of the little negativities that weigh you down. And practice defying the status quo. Just because something has always been a certain way doesn't mean it has to be that way for the foreseeable future. And E is empathy. It's important to understand that true empathy works in two ways. First, it's about nurturing the ability and desire you have to have compassion towards someone else. And I know when you're angry at somebody else or you're disappointed at them, it's very hard to have compassion. I know we all have it in us. And if we pause and step back and sort of reframe our thought process, it gives us a little room to be more compassionate. This requires you to be open-minded to the feelings and experience of another person. Empathy also involves working on setting aside your own personal biases, opinions, agenda, and beliefs, and making a conscious choice to accept the other person where that person is, flaws and all. And I know that this is really challenging, but sometimes you have to say to yourself, what is it that I want in this moment? And if not continuing the arguing or not focusing on a flaw can help you move through the situation more calmly, then you're a winner and you create more peace for yourself. And sometimes it's just a matter of evaluating what is the most significant in the moment for you. And that basically is the framework. And my clients have said that they have used it and they have just, in the moment said to themselves, be brave. Okay, I need to have balance and I need to have resiliency and autonomy and valor and empathy. And I'd like to create framework for my clients that are easily implemented.
Well, this is excellent material. It's filled with great wisdom, and I especially appreciate your emphasis on empathy, because I think without empathy we cannot go through challenges of divorce in the most positive way for ourselves and especially for our children. As you know, as founder of the Child Centered Divorce Network, my focus is coaching divorcing families with children, because I think that complicates matters on so many levels, and we have, as parents, not only be concerned about self-care, getting through these challenges, but especially care about our children and making sure they don't fall through the cracks. And empathy means really putting yourself in that other person's shoes, whether it's your child or whether it's your divorcing spouse or your former spouse and you're co-parenting. Without empathy, we are not making the most conscious decisions that are going to affect everyone in the family. I love your B.R.A.V.E. framework. I think it's outstanding and something that can be useful in so many of life challenges, and especially now as we're all going through the coronavirus conflict in our world. I wanted to give you a chance before we go any further to let people know how they can find you, Jennifer. Where can people find you and how?
They can find me. I have a website, seekingempowerment.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, and they can email me if there are any questions at jen@seekingempowerment.com.
And you work with people not only in the Miami area but outside around the country?
Yes, I do. I do a lot of virtual coaching.
Well, that's good to know. So you've given us this wonderful framework with B.R.A.V.E, and I wanted you, in the short period of time that we have left, to touch a little bit on how we cope when conflict are becoming more traumatic and more difficult for families, because that is an area unto itself. High conflict divorce and high conflict co-parenting. And can you just give us some insights about that?
Well, first of all, conflict is almost inevitable when going through a divorce. But the way you approach conflict is very important, and it doesn't need to escalate. The important thing is to take the time to think about what it is that is in the best interest of you, your children, and the family, right? Because just because you are getting divorced, the pieces of the puzzle are just a little different. You are still a family. And it's important to remember not to be reactive, to really take a minute to pause and think about, is what I'm about to say going to be said in the best way possible so that the person receiving that information can hear me and does not close off? Because when we are angry or when we are determined to get what we want, the words we use, tone of voice, our body language, and the way we look at someone all have an influence on how conflict de-escalates or escalates. So my recommendation would be to really be mindful of all of those skills and to practice them, and maybe perhaps to role play with yourself about how you want to respond. And I will tell you something else that I have found really effective with my clients, particularly in communicating, and especially when communicating via email or text message. Bill Eddy came up with this wonderful framework. It's called the B.I.F.F. response, B-I-F-F, and it stands for brief, informative, firm, and friendly. And I teach all of my clients when they are responding in writing to make sure it follows that framework, because you always want to start out with a positive to create an opening where someone can hear you. You want to state whatever it is that you want to say in a brief way, and then you want it to be informative. You stick to just what it is that you need to say, and you want it to be firm but not rude and not condescending, and then you always want to end on a friendly note. I hope you'll take the time to think about this. I think this would be really helpful for our children, something that ends in a soft way.
Wonderful advice. Bill Eddy does excellent work in this kind of arena, and that's wonderful advice we could all take to heart in all levels of conflict in our life.
For sure.
For what you're saying, if I'm clear, is that we are responsible for the way we present the information, and the way we present it is going to affect the outcome. So
exactly.
we can't be standing and pointing the finger as a victim and say, she's the one who's always doing this, and then not take responsibility for escalating conflict. We have choices in the way we phrase things, the way we position them. We put our ex-partners on the defensive or not in the way we address every facet of that communication. So that is wonderful advice. Go ahead.
The control is in the creation, right? It's really about how you're going to get what you need and what you want and what is the best way of communicating that.
Really important. I wish we had more time, but we are at the limit, so I want to thank Jennifer Warren Medwin for her wonderful advice, for the way she's guided us into thinking about options and choices we have. And if you want to reach her, you can find her at seekingempowerment.com, and we'll be back next week with another show. This is Rosalind Sedaka with the Child Centered Divorce Network, and you could find me at childcentereddivorce.com. Thank you so much for listening. WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network, and you've been listening to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with Rosalind Sedaka. Bye-bye for now.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio Channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.